Zoom on stuff when I mess with Skeeter Green.
Oh yeah, well, good for you. Good for you. But we're live now, so anyway. Okay. So hey, Zach.
Skeeter Green's a terrible person, though.
Yeah, we're back here again talking more Frog God stuff. So you guys just keep pumping out the books and pumping out the stuff. So what's the biggest? We're going to talk about the Grand Duchy of Reme here in just a little bit, but just so people can be up to date, what's the most recent like releases from you guys, and what's coming down the pipe?
There's a bunch of them actually. We use Indiegogo now as well as Kickstarter to make small soft covers that usually had not been realistic to print. And so we do them in super high quality, and we do them on Indiegogo. So we have about 5 of those releases: the City That Dripped Blood by Stephen Winter, and then we have Casey Christopherson, The Devil Murder Cliffs, and Thief King's Vault by Tim Hitchcock. I mean, they're beautiful books. They're 100-pound gloss paper inside, and they're just made to be something you really like. But we only print as many as we get on Indiegogo, so we don't have them. Paulsboro, Washington, where our warehouse is uniquely wet, and soft covers they don't store as well. So we have a bunch of those titles. We had City of Brass came out. That's another one of Casey Christopherson's giant masterpieces. We released the Necromancer Games version in a box set back when we were Necromancer Games. And it never got marketed because it was kind of towards the end of the Necromancer's big pushes, and never got marketed the way we thought it should. So Casey redid it, and it is slick. It's very nice, but it's one of our last big, thick books. We're moving to a model where it's about 200, 250 pages versus 800. And so, yeah, I know. So that one, Rapinathic 5 came out about a year ago, but then after that we have soon we will have
but what do we have the giant Lost Lands book? That'll be huge though.
Yeah, well, and but that's not adventure. But seriously, we part of the reason we're switching up is that our audience has gotten younger, and they're becoming pretty heavily on PDFs, and so the attraction to the giant books is as we get older, sir, it goes with us.
Well, yeah, we're the dinosaurs, right? That we still want to see our bookcases, crumbling in front of us because
I'm looking at mine too. Right now I can see over there.
Oh, I have a stack. I have 2 giant stacks of books. You can't see it. I have 2 giant stacks of books over here because about a month ago I was just sitting here working, and I heard this creak. And I turned around just in time to see a particle board bookcase that was holding, way more weight in books than it should have, just crumble to the ground and smash.
I lost the whole bookcase.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh shoot, and I was just like, that was all I could say. I didn't know what else to say. I was just like, all right, well, moving on. And so I haven't yet replaced that bookcase. So
they probably had our books on it. No, the Lost Lands book will be big. Mark Greenberg did their project management on that, and it turns out that I think it's about 700,000 words, a little more, and it was turned in, and so it is now we're getting it set for layout. We right now are laying out Sea King's Malice. I did the layout review on that the other day, and then the Teagle Manor as well, because Alyssa finished the map. The biggest component of that was this giant, unbelievable map. Unbelievably, the resolution is staggering, and it's really cool. So, and I have to do stuff like to put it in the book. The poster map is one thing, but to put it in the book, I have to take out some of the elements because you can't see much, because even across the spread or something like that, it's not going to be easy to read for a GM. And we're also going to make like an outline map. We want it to be playable, but that map of hers, we're going to make, I think, an awesome VT team after that. Teagle Manor's come back, baby.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So, hey, I actually had somebody ask in the chat, will anybody at Gen Con have copies of City of Brass for sale? They want to be able to pick up a copy.
I don't know if Noble Knight goes there. A couple of resellers might have it there. Honestly, I think that a Noble Knight, you buy them online, you get it direct from us. Some of our ACD retailers pick it up, but we're not going, so I don't know for sure.
So best bet would just be to go to froggodgames.com and
that would be the best bet. And if you
get the free PDF then.
You get the free PDF then, and if you contact me, I'll get you a discount. Just for asking.
Oh wow, that says Chad. If
Yeah,
you're listening,
FrogGodGames.com. I heard about you on Lance's show. Just say
yeah,
that.
Chad is he might collect RPGs more than I do. Like as far as like he is a voracious consumer
Well, I
of
see that
RPGs.
makes him cooler than you.
Oh yeah, well he is super cool actually. He runs the Board Game Geek Hot Games room, and he makes sure that I have a VIP badge there. So yeah, so like when I'm at Gen Con, that is like the place to hang out. You know, the Board Game Geek Hot Games room where it's wide open tables and all the cool new games to play and whatever. So all right, anyway, moving on a little bit further. So the Kickstarter you got going on, we got a week left of it. It is the Grand Duchy of Reme. It isn't. Is it Reme or I always said it was Reme. It's Reme. Okay.
It's Reme.
So
we had a long. When you have a work for a game company, you have weird meetings on Skype, right? We had a meeting on Skype where we found we'd all come to a conclusion of what it was called. Yeah.
Oh.
Consensus. But no, and Reme is the oldest. Way back from the beginning of Necromancer Games is one of the oldest parts of the Lost Lands that was referenced.
Because it was this was the one that like. Oh God, I can't remember the name of the module. Why can't I think of that? It's with the temple and it's like one of my favorite modules. By
Great Citadel, that one.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Well, the Great Citadel, the Tower of Jetafar, and there are 3 modules that we've redone in 5 for the first time. There are.
The Grey Citadel. Sorry,
yeah,
that's the one I really enjoyed. I mean, because it was just kind of like it was moody and spooky and had some good story.
It's a fine module, and I'm excited that we're releasing some of the Necromancer stuff that has been we had kind of had kept in the hopper. Now we've been growing, and so we have access. We have more resources we can rely on, more people we have that can work on conversions, that can work on layouts, and so the Necromancer stuff that before we always wanted to get to, always want to do. As we come out with the Lost Lands regional books, like this one, we are going to be able to put the modules that are in those regions out from Necromancer, so everybody can enjoy them again without having to convert from 3.5. And it's going to be great.
And so and then as you mentioned that you're able to get these like old school old third edition modules that but now updated to like Pathfinder or 5e. Yeah.
Probably Pathfinder too. So
really Pathfinder as well?
Well, it's a stretch goal point, but honestly, we have a core group of consumers that have bought literally. One of them, her name is Jennifer, took a picture of herself next to our books stacked up, and they were as tall as her. And she was infuriated when they announced Pathfinder 2, and she's a wonderful fan, and there's many like her. It isn't a huge base, but it's enough for us. If we reach a certain threshold, we can at least do print-on-demand copies of our books, the smaller ones for sure. So people can. We want people to enjoy them, and a lot of our Pathfinder customers are our biggest Lost Lands fans, and we don't want to. No fan left behind, man.
No fan left behind. So then. So just out of curiosity, I mean, with Pathfinder 2, I mean, is that something that Frog God will support in the future as well?
We're capitalists. If we think that it's going to, if it's to the point where we think that we can, it's expensive to kind of retool. We don't have anybody that we are on staff with us that we do work with a lot that knows much about Pathfinder 2, and so that would add another system for us to do. So if it looks like, we see it like another third-party company doing, real well, and we're like, hey, that's our money, not your money. We will invest in it, but right now it doesn't make sense for us because we're making so many books and we're doing. We want to go over capacity. We work hard not to.
Gotcha, and I mean that makes sense. I mean, it's if it makes sense to make the game and make the books, then make it happen. So so let's pretend.
I hope it does great, and we wind up doing it because it will be the more the merrier. Big games that anybody plays, it makes our industry better. So.
Okay, and then eventually one of these days, you'll reprint Czar in all the formats, right? The Slumbering City.
We've actually considered doing that one's there's a lot of complications to that, except for we consider doing it serialized. But Greg Vaughn it no longer works with us and amicably, and he actually has the rights to work from that, and it gets complicated. But Legendary Games is doing kind of a not sequel, but a continuation of that in the Lost Lands that Greg wrote. And they're supposed to be doing that. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Interesting.
I hope they do. I hope they do bonkers. I hope they make a ton of money.
Yeah, so, I mean, rising waters, raise all ships, kind of thing.
Yep, and like we've had. It's nice to finally have our setting book on its way, because we have a team of people working with the World Anvil Group, making our Lost Lands information all available to people to see. They can use it themselves to make their own, pin their own adventures on there, and we can have, hey, we sold this and this is here. If you want to buy it, click. Hey, here's some art you can use for your own campaign. As part of our Lost Lands Kickstarter, which we kind of opened a license for, because quite frankly, we're not completing with Forgotten Realms. We're not going to do that. What we'd like to do is have people play in our setting, have the opportunity to print commercially. So that kind of stuff.
All right, so let's pretend I know nothing about the Grand Duchy of Reme, and you wanted to give me like the elevator pitch or the elevator story about what it is. It's
wide grasslands. There's horsemen, and it's a really interesting place because you can do very many things in the same place, and it's coherent, the kind of culture. And I think that it's got a seaport. The city itself is home to many like kind of intrigues, but it's not nasty like the Blight. It's not as hipster Seattle as Bard's Gate. and it's and Grand Duchy is not a city book, but the city plays a role. And we talk about the lore clans, and there's a lot of what this is as Reme is mentioned in the big thick book we got, right? But this one is the expanded on for the region itself, that gives a little more information for GMs and players, and it's system neutral like the main one, mostly because we think that the most important elements of those books are the lore and the backgrounds, and we make a supplement book for the systems, because in case we want to go ahead and do Pathfinder 2, we can just make that book, and the Reme books we have, and when the more books you print, the less expensive they are, so we could charge less money.
Yeah.
And so, but no, it's a lot of the Lost Lands is interesting because it's huge, it's intentionally giant, oversized, and it also has so many different styles of so many different cultural styles, because at the time Necromancer was first developing into it, the Grand Master plan wasn't a plan at all. It was make great adventures in cool places. And so weaving them together was started in the mid 2000s, and these books were promised a decade ago, but they're coming here and they're really good, and we're excited because we're going to do another. We have an October Kickstarter for a well-known Necromancer Games book that has not been seen since Necromancer Games was shuttered. That theirs involves I don't know, kind of Egyptian stuff, but it's coming out with a Kemet regional guide. So you have the regional guides. We're trying to do them as they make sense with adventures, so people can enjoy those aspects of the Lost Lands, while at the same time developing parts of their own. So, but Reme it's a great place to start, because you have the grasslands, you have adventure locations, but it's not like near Rappahannock. It's not a level up just enough to go down and die. I mean, there are nice places to go, and the adventure hooks inside I think would be great. So
yeah, I mean it's one of those things where the location, I mean, obviously the large city, the city of Reme or whatever, is where it's like one of those perfect spots to like just have the home base, if you will. You can leave, and because of the fact of where it's situated and everything that's going on, if you want to have an adventure on the sea, you can do that easily. If you just want to be traveling cross country and seeing what kind of trouble you can get into, that's definitely
I will tell you a secret. I will tell you a secret, man. Reme was going to release with the Sea King's Malice, because it starts there, but we recognized that those two books worked well together, but it started to complicate the Kickstarter because you had, what if you didn't want Sea King's Mouse? What do you want this? And that becomes the focusing the Kickstarter on the primary product is helpful for everybody. So that's why we had like bang one after the other, because it was ready for that Kickstarter. And we made the decision to go ahead and do it separately. We've been real happy with it. It's not as kaboom as our last few Kickstarters have been, but we also recognize when we do that many in a row, we will sell a lot more after than we sometimes do on the first ones. And we appreciate all of our customers. We're not trying to soak them totally dry, just a little bit. But, so it was going to be on the previous Kickstarter, and that's why it has its own, and it's going to be awesome. We're excited.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that, I mean, okay, so like I can tell like with the last two releases that you've had, I mean, like obviously the like the direction you're going. I mean, you can just tell. You can see how like Necromancer Games obviously was its own entity, but then like Frog God Games kind of like adopted the stylized way that stuff was being printed and like slightly changed on when Necromancer Games did it, and now it seems like you're fully embracing kind of 5e. You're fully embracing the look of game books that come out now. Before it was like a less is more attitude, as far as like the covers and the colors and everything. But now it seems like you're grabbing onto those and you're just embracing them with both hands and looking like even the old grognards maybe are learning something.
Well, we have a gift for them coming too. So we're doing we have Swords and Wizardry, our in-house system, and we love it, right? But a lot of the people who are big fans of it aren't fans of exactly what you said. That's not their bag, right?
Yeah.
But we love it, and we're going to revisit the Swords and Wizardry book in a way that is very, very much in a format it deserved, and we're going to have some special stuff just for that. A new way we do some adventures for it that are shorter, a lot more the Steadying of the Hill Giant Chief and a lot less City Brass kind of stuff.
So
it will still make our bigger books for Sword Wizardry because we love the system, but we're going to do something special for everybody because we think that we're good at it. It will have a different style of art. It'll be black and white, but it'll be fancier than the stuff from the 70s, but it will remind you of it in important ways. And that's going to be coming out soon. And because we do want to represent that, because that is one of our core competencies, but we are trying to develop books that we know what people are playing, what they like, and we like it too. And Casey Christopherson, as art director, has fundamentally changed how our books feel. So
yeah, I when 5th edition came out, I read the rules and I looked at it and I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this and I see what it is, but I didn't really play it. Interesting story. My daughter recently had a birthday. She's 12, and on her birthday, she asked if she could have a few of her friends over and they could play Dungeons and Dragons because
my
she
heart
plays.
just sings.
Yeah. So
that's what keeping us employed. It's so awesome.
So she plays in a weekly game at the local game store, like it's one of those the Adventures League type of thing where she goes and she plays with that, and she goes there every Wednesday evening. And but so these I had these 4 12-year-old girls sitting at this table, and we're playing 5th edition, and I was DMing, and it was really exciting for me. One, because the game was was straightforward enough for them to understand it. I mean, they were just like, it's like at the very beginning there were 2 girls that were like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how this works. I don't know what I'm doing. And that was how they were saying, and like they were just kind of.
Sure.
It was weird because they kind of this is a longer story and I apologize, but it was kind of like they were not taking it too seriously, right? They were coming up with goofy names for their characters, and they were just kind of like, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll just play. It isn't the way like I play with my normal group, but I mean they're kids, right? They're just having fun. And at one point, like they said, one of the girls said, "Can I have a pet cat?" And I was just like, one of the rules for as a DM that every DM needs to learn is say yes more often. right? You know, just tell your players, yes, you can do that. So I was like, fine, you can have a pet cat. And then another girl said, and my daughter like said, oh, well, I want a pet cat too. And I was like, all right, fine, you both have pet cats. Yeah, and so they're just like, okay, fine. They came up with names for they called one cat Tostito, and they called one cat Shoebrush, and they were just like, okay, fine. So they had these two cats. Well, they go into this like dwarven ruin, and they run around in the dwarven ruin while trying to find this treasure. And this was like just the 5th edition D&D Essentials kit, the most recent one that just came out. And one of the things says, as they're leaving the ruins, these orcs show up to fight them. Well, the girls actually said, I'm worried about these cats getting killed. Let's just leave the cats outside. And they were like, oh, okay. And they had no idea. And so they come outside, and I said, you see 4 orcs. One's chasing one of the cats with his axe, and the other one's holding the cat up by its tail. And it looks like he's going to attack it. And like some of the girls were like, you know, kind of looking at their phones, kind of doing things. As soon as the cats were in danger, it was like click. It was like it was real to them, and they were like, "Oh, it was over for those orcs. They were done." It was like they were
invested, man.
And then here's the cool thing. Like we got done playing, and one of the girls who didn't really know what she was doing and was kind of like, I don't know what's going on. She was like, let's play again. And can I change the name of my character, because I think my character name's kind of silly, you know? And she was just like, let's have real names and take this seriously, she said. And it was like that moment, the moment you
knew that they were there.
So now tomorrow night they come over again to play D&D again.
Right, that's awesome. Do you know Alex Cameron from GameholeCon? Have you ever the name familiar?
I know the name. I don't think I've ever met him.
His daughters play in a group of young women. They're about the same age as yours, and they call themselves the Rainbow Tentacles. That's their campaign name, and they play every week, and they love it. They're really into it. But he says the play style is real different than we're used to, and he goes, in some ways it's better because it's collaborative in ways that we didn't quite have. There isn't as much arguing over who gets the good sword as in you know, when we go to town, how we socially interact, and it's really interesting, and they take it in a different way. But I think it's awesome that, look, when I was young, it was 6 of us. We don't have basements in Arizona, but it could have been, right? It was kind of something you didn't overly talk about too much, especially a guy like 10 or 12. Now it's like hip, man. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think like you and I are around the same age, and it's just like I'm assuming you've watched Stranger Things on the Netflix or whatever. I mean, like I remember watching that first season. You were like seeing those kids in the basement, you know, playing D&D. I was like, oh my gosh, that was me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was me. You know, that was me playing games. And so the cool thing is that I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and and I was like, I'm trying to remember being 12 and playing D&D, but I was like watching them, and I was like, yeah, it's different, but it's the same, right? Yeah. You know, it was like, you know, we bought into it, you know, and they were buying into it in a way that was like so different from what me being 47 and having played D&D for 4 decades. Like I still get together, we still play, and we still have those moments where we get excited about playing. But it's more of a social atmosphere, you know, hanging out with your friends and you know, playing the game and like kind of just delving into this story kind of thing. But for these kids, man, it was like I could see the movie happening in their eyes, and they were the stars of that movie. And
the fact that can compete with all the other distractions that 5e is doing so well with. I mean, 20,000 people watched like Critical Role. It's like insane. If they told you 10 years ago that people were watching people play D&D online, you would probably thought that they were crazy. And it's great. I mean, I don't watch them because I can only do role-playing games so many hours a day. I've seen them. I met them. It's great. But you know what? The people who do watch and are so into it, welcome. It's great here. Welcome to hobby, man. but Critical Role isn't for you. It isn't for me. I mean, that isn't for us, right? I mean, it's just like, so happy they exist.
No, it's fantastic that they exist, and it's fantastic that they're as successful as they are doing what they do. You know, because it's one of those things where you know, like the greatest music of your life is the stuff you listen to in your 20s. Like, you know, like I can hear a song on the radio and I'm like, you know, it's the formative. There's a lot of truth to the fact that your formative years, like the movies you watched at that age, the TV you watched at that age, the records you listened to at that age, the stuff you did at that age.
The
That's
last
the stuff.
Starfire was awesome, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like you know, that's the stuff that was amazing to us. So what you have to realize is that exists. These people watching these people play this D&D live, and I can watch it and say, okay, that's cool, but I don't get into it like somebody else does. But that's just because it's a generational thing, right? And it's not what I would consume. But that's fine, because there's so much out there for me to consume, and that's made for me too.
It's a testament to the genius of Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson.
Yeah,
they didn't. I think they didn't quite see this at all, but what they saw was a game you could take in different directions, and they enjoyed it. And Gary Gygax believes he could make money on it, and he spread it around. It would still be you played a few games in Wisconsin if it wasn't for someone seeing that there's more here. And now it's so big and it influences so many people. It's weird because I go places like, I live in a small town. We have 5 stores. I go to one of them, I'm wearing a Gary Con shirt, and a clerk comes to me and asks me, "Do you play D&D?" I'm like, "Oh God, that's a question." Out of nowhere, and it's like a common thing. It's just, "Oh, I'd love to go to Gary Con." Wow. I mean, I could not believe I had these kind of conversations. So it's great. I just think that I picked up the WotC. We were talking about kids playing. I picked up the WotC, the little introduction books for kids. What a good idea to make these. They're not very expensive, and you could give them as a gift to people that like fantasy stuff but never tried the games. And I think they take off. I'm embarrassed to say it. I buy 4 or 5 starter sets a year, and I give them to kids I know. I want to make sure that people. It's like spreading the word, man. The good news.
Well, and that's just it. It's those essentials kits that they're putting out. Oh, they're so good. I mean, they're loss leaders. I mean, because it's just like they're selling. Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, they might make so many that they can't.
They're very close to razor thin on the margin.
I mean, the margin has to be razor thin.
Yeah.
But inside you get a set of dice, you get 6 character sheets, you get a rule book that's basically a combination of the player's handbook and the DMG, just enough to play, and the adventure that they include with it, which is I think it's about a 64-page book, if I remember correctly.
And there's solo stuff, right?
Well, the one that came out, I picked it up at Target. It was a Target exclusive, which is kind of cool too.
I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning that day, dude. I know you.
So, and also a DM screen to set up, which has all the information you need on it, right? And then you have that you have you have everything you need. The rule book or the adventure is really well put together. It's like, oh, here's this little town, and here's literally the town hall that has missions stuck on basically a tag board.
That's awesome.
And it's just so then it's and then there's 3 missions, and as soon as they complete 2 of those, then there's 3 more missions, and as soon as they complete 2 of those, there's 3 more, and then you finally have the last mission of trying to basically find this white dragon and defeat it.
That's a little less roadie than I'm used to. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just, and I would suggest to anybody out there that if you're thinking about getting into 5th edition, go and get that Essentials kit, because it is really well made and well done, and it's just it isn't just a thrown together piece of whatever. But anyway, we're totally off base here. Go back, Grand Duchy of Reme here.
No, actually, but it matters though, because we do make that for multiple systems. But the one thing I could say about 5th edition is that it is much easier to segue into playing like you played 1st edition or 2nd edition, because the core components are really, you can do a lot more things that are like the old games that you could with a third edition. And so the fact that these are available at Target, which is, I was talking to one of the Watson guys in North Texas, and the fact they did that kind of, sorry, I feel bad for the game stores we're getting, but this is great for us. I can walk into Target and ask the guy, hey man, do you have the new D&D? Yeah, man, it's over there. It's like that isn't, it's great for the hobby in general. And we see new players. The Sea King's Malice Kickstarter, we had a large number of people who had never bought from us before because they were looking for 5th edition stuff. And we were lucky to be in a position that we could capitalize to make more of it than more visibly, because it's hard to be a third-party publisher. So we're trying to make the most of what we got now because it's going pretty well. Yeah.
And no, it's interesting world we're living in right now, and it's I mean, before, and I know many people have said this before, but it's one of those things where back in the day, you know, we were the nerds that were playing D&D, and now D&D is full in everybody's face.
I saw socks with the ampersand on them at a store, at a record store. They had the socks you could buy with the D&D logo.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. It's a lifestyle, man. I'm going to show you a couple things on Reme here on a screen share too, if I have it up. Let's see here. And we should be able to do that. No, let's see here. Right here. Sure. Okay, you should be able to see I have up here, I have 2 pieces of art. And you see the kind of like this is a tribe that how we put it, we had to go make sure that we were sensitive with it because we weren't trying to actually name any specific culture, but it's kind of a combination of like a Roma culture and Acadian, like, you know, the Cajun and up in Canada, like hardcore, tough traveling people. So that's one of them. That's one of the images from the Kickstarter, and the other one is right here. And for the life of me, it's the Hobgoblin City. And so, and we have, and we have some really great art. You can see more of it on the Kickstarter page. Plus, I'll be honest with you, I think the covers that we did for the Necromancer books on there are just awesome.
Yes.
I mean,
I like the wyvern. I'm assuming that's a wyvern. It's flying up.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's got a little tail. No, that's what I mean about Reme being eclectic. I mean, both these kind of places are in it. The city kind of makes it like a central focus point, and it is, you know, you got an ocean, man. You got some mountains on the outside. You got tons of grass in between. There's a lot of trade goes through. There's caravans. It's a fun place to. It's a lot better a start place than Belcourt Spirit because your lifespan's short over there.
Where's my elven forest? You had to have an elven forest.
We have those, but yeah, I think you will see that. I think in our third release we'll have more because the next one's going to be a little deserty and a little mummy-like. So
a little mummy-like.
Yeah, well, we're redoing one of the bigger adventures that Necromancer did, and I'm not sure how we're titling it yet for complications, but it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be Egypt.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so.
Go ahead.
I mean, this stuff is going to be great because we now have a way we can focus adventures on a setting that if you can choose to play in there, you can choose not to because they work about anywhere. And we have our release schedule up through like 2020, and we're doing pretty good on it. Pretty soon we're shipping out the last of our Indiegogos we had done. We're starting a new one for the Deck of Dirty Tricks. Number 2, it's a card deck that Bill actually uses in his games. It's hysterical. It's a player deck where you have one. It's like a saving throw in a card. This time, that dice didn't count, or even crazier ones like your next opponent fights for you 2 rounds. Oddball that you can play when you want to that makes the games move quick in large groups. And every time we buy them, we run out. So we're going to have a Kickstarter that has the old deck and plus a new one he wrote that is. We went through it closely because he loves his 80s memes, man. And not everybody's going to get all those jokes.
No, no.
Don't figure out midnight. Like, okay.
No, I've seen the videos of Bill running games, and where he's handed out those cards, and people are like, like there's like yeah. I mean, it's just like, oh, this next roll's a 20, no matter what. Those kinds of things, and it was just.
It adds an element of because you can tell people in the party that you have it or don't. So but a lot of times it's cooperative. They say what they've got, and sometimes it's more of a if they have a friendly rivalry, they'll use it for that purpose, and it makes it fun. But what I love is the fact that I take the deck with me and I have a pen, I have a Sharpie. I'll make ones and I'll say this is an official Frog God Game card, and I sign it, and and someone will hand it to me. Like, oh, God damn it, Zach! Boom, they get all mad. But we're going to include some blank cards too, so you can make them. But they're fun, and where that one's coming, we're going to do. We just purchased the remainder of Necromancer Games, so we now have we own outright all the content without licensing, and so we're going to do some books under that name that are more of kind of avant-garde-ish. So they're going to be like things that are not normal releases. Like one's got a long article about like Gary Gygax and a short adventure inspired by how he made it, and we have some other ones that are from other publishers we think that we're considering that are really great that we think we could bring attention to and release that normally wouldn't get it. Like some of the stuff that won any awards, as a matter of fact. I mean, great stuff. But it takes effort and work to get people to see it. But we have some connections to it. We have a warehouse, and we have the ability to do things that we think can help make the indie publishing for D&D a little bit bigger if you're not in the DMs Guild. Because we love that DMs Guild too, because it keeps everybody writing to what they love, which is Forgotten Realms, but also keeps, outside here, man, it's pretty good to sell stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's just, obviously, I remember, we've talked about this before. Necromancer Games was like that company that like I just latched onto it when 3rd edition came out, and then like it vanished for a while, and then Frog God, slowly crawled back. And it's just every time I see that you guys are publishing something new or making something new, I know it's like an instant buy for me, just because I know it's going to be quality. I'm about halfway through reading City of Brass right now. And that's just, and talk about like a weird, like place where, it's just like, I'm not normally a big, like high fantasy, high magic type of situation, but, I never delved too far into the traveling the different planes of like the different, like the elemental planes and whatever. But that's, that makes it, palatable, if you will. It's just like it makes the elemental plane of fire and the denizens there and everything like that. It makes it something that like isn't like completely old. Yeah. It's a good way to put it, Steve. And it isn't completely over the top crazy fantasy either. It's a living, breathing world, and it kind of makes it recognizable in a weird way, if you will.
No, it does. And what's great about City of Brass is the design for it and how you get there really does slowly seep you into it. By the end, it's crazy. Doing the maps, you start out, it's like, oh, here's a map of a village, here's a map of a caravan. Towards the end, it's like, here's the inside of something's stomach,
Yeah.
And, it's awesome. It's hard. It's well designed. I think the 5e conversion is really good. And I think that it shows that the art's great. That's when Casey started doing art for us. That's made a big difference. And we're real proud of that book, and we're real proud. Like Teagle Manor is beautiful. I've seen that come down the art for that. The Sea King's Malice art, I'm real excited about. All these, all of it. We have like 8 artists now that work for us pretty consistently, and we keep them really busy because we like good art and we use it all the time.
Yeah, artwork. Obviously the adventure is the thing, but there's something to be said about like being able to like take the book and hold it up and point, so the players can visualize it better.
Well, part of that, it comes down to the fact that, that's the first thing you see, but also an investment in good art. I think there's certain, for independent publishers, small press, one-off guys like I used to be, people recognize that, it's expensive, but at a certain level, your investment in art tells you how seriously you take your own brand.
Yep. I agree. So, like that's something that like board game publishers, it's like one of the things is it's like whatever you're paying for art, pay more.
Yeah, it's too low.
Yeah, whatever you're paying, it isn't enough. Take the time to make sure that you have really good art.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. How we actually, because we buy so much art, we're competitive what we pay, but in order to make sure that we're attractive to work for, because we have to. In a way, they're we're their customer in a way because we desperately need a lot of them. We pay fast, and we pay often. And so artists who work for us will consistently have a lot of work. And so it can almost fill their time to as much as they like, because we do everything from just doing creatures like for the Nocturnal Horrors all the way to doing, really wild. We're doing a GM screen that's going to be like, 48 inches across, and it's going to have one piece of art. And it's going to be awesome. We have all kinds of things we produce. So.
Fair enough. Well, okay. So, go to the old Kickstarter. There's a link in the description of this if you want to go ahead and check out
the Grand Duchy of Reme, and you can pick up the book at System Neutral. And honestly, if you like RuneQuest, it works there too. Honestly, but there's also the companion books. They're called Encounter books, and that's for the Swords and Wizardry in 5e, and Pathfinder, I think, has been unlocked. And there's also the 3 Necromancer Games modules that have been converted for the first time. These, I think, all ever to the systems besides 3.5. And they're all good. Jetafar and Grey Citadel, which is very long. By the way, on Grey Citadel, Necromancer used to do downloaded extras, right? If you could go and download the extra chapter that wasn't.
Yeah, that was one of the things I loved. I loved that.
Well, that one is coming back. We're taking that chapter that was actually converted to 5e and the rest of them. So we'll actually have that extra. If you do on the Kickstarter, you get it. We're not sure what we're going to do with it after, but if you went on the Kickstarter and you'll be able to pick it up at the end, I think, for inexpensive, unless there's a process called early commits, and that was one of the early commit incentives, but it'll be available to anybody on the Kickstarter in some way or another. But after that, we don't know if we're going to put it out, because honestly, we looked at all of those. They're all cool, but they're not like you can't go, hey, it's a product for $3. It's different. You have to have the original one, and it might come with some kind of add-on. We don't know. This is a new thing for us. But we did find that and converted it, so that's pretty cool. And that's the Grey Citadel extra. And then the Temple of something. Error. And then the other one is the Tower Jetafar, the Grey Citadel, and not Rainbow Mage, the Siege of Durgam's Folly. Durgam's Folly.
Yep.
And that one, that's an interesting one that I'm excited about that one. It's really different. I have people who tell me that's their favorite. My favorite is not that one. My favorite is actually, I'm a big fan of the one that you wanted so bad, the Eamonville. I read that before I sent it off to you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that we are going to do like Rainbow Mage pretty soon. And also we had a manuscript written by a guy who, he could have been somebody, but he never really made it, named Mike Merles. They bought a manuscript from him back in like 2008 about just like a Dinosaurs of the Lost Valley kind of thing. And we're doing that one as well coming up at some point. So we got a lot of great stuff coming. So.
Yeah, I think that like you just keep publishing stuff, man. I mean, just because
we're busy, but we're trying to do it smart. I mean, it's hard to say no to things, because we've had some great stuff. We had to go, this isn't our core competency, or this is really cool, but we only have so much bandwidth to do, because there's so many great things you could do. Ideas are everywhere, and there are all lots of great ones. Picking the right ones and making sure you do enough focus on them. Just because you've done a Kickstarter, we have rules now about how much is done beforehand, because we don't want something to get backed up to the point where the enthusiasm's gone. Mm-hmm. Like I'm doing the Teagle Manor, some of the read-throughs now, and I'm still excited. I was going and making special graphics to share with people because I'm just so damn excited about the map, right?
Yeah.
You lose that sometimes if you get too far out. So we try to keep that part of it in mind as well. And we kind of have a new system where we have project managers, and I work with them to make sure everything is contained and moving forward. So we have managed growth. So it's going to be awesome. You will have more stuff, I assure you.
Well, this is going to be just hopefully like get another conversation or whatever. Like in the future, I can't wait for like the other things to come out. I'm super excited to see. Like the one I'm waiting for obviously is the Lost Lands one. I've been waiting for that for.
Actually, the manuscript's done that. I just saw. In fact, as a matter of fact, I saw the second version of the giant map that we updated the parts for Reme. That we already ordered the maps for the first one, but if we're already moving forward, and Robert Haltbauer, our cartographer of the Lost Lands, the big maps, we are keeping that as a constantly growing, like, map and etc. So you can see. It's gonna be interesting to see over time. I think I'm gonna do a time lapse. Here it is now. And there's all the little growth places because it's fun, and I saw that already. So the Lost Lands is already growing, and the book's in the pipe. The next one, the Reme, will come by following it, and we're already supporting it. And you'll be impressed. You'll be impressed.
Perfect. All right. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Zach, how do they find you?
Zach at froggodgames.com is not a bad way, though. I do get lots and lots of email. So I do recommend that if you have not heard from me, if you're on Facebook, you can find me, and I respond faster there. If not, you can go to Frog God Games. They have a website, contact us, and they'll get a hold of me.
Perfect. So, well, thanks for taking the time again, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, it's not like we could sit here and reminisce for like hours. This could be a 9-hour stream. We're like, hey, man, I'll pull down a copy of this randomly. Birthright. You're like, you just I like Birthright, see?
Yeah. Trouble was you could never get people to play it. It was anyway.
And it's too bad too. I'm going to say my complaint. One of the things that I love most about D&D is you can do anything. One of the things that's hardest is getting the player buy-in on some of the coolest things. As a GM, I want to play Sky Realms of Jaroon, man. You know who's going to play? It's a tough call. It's tough to get a group. I should probably try Roll20. I'm just busy. Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. But all right, my friend. Well, it was good, and thank you everybody for watching. And go check out Grand Duchy of Reme on Kickstarter.
Grand Duchy of Reme on Kickstarter.